Okay, welcome to the Karen Mitches podcast.
Woo.
Today we have Danton Lamar.
Hey,
Thanks for coming on, Danton.
happy to be here.
I was just at your club last night.
Yeah. It was a fun time. It was a good mic.
Yeah.
Nice full room, which was great.
The lab is one of the first places I ever did an open mic, and it very quickly became like kind of my go-to place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess you were open for I think a couple years before I started, and you've been how many years total?
So the lab's been running for 3 years and change now. Yeah,
Nice.
3.5 years at this point. Yeah. So we kicked off back in 2022, right after the last lockdown.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how long were you in comedy before you opened the club?
7 years.
Amazing.
Yeah. 7 years in comedy. It was the second club I'd been involved of the opening of. The first one was out in Russia. Like, I didn't open it. I just helped make it happen. I helped promote it and shit. But, like, it was somebody else's, like, full initiative. And I was like, oh, okay, that's how that's done. And then I was like, oh, well, come to Toronto if I can do the same thing. So, yeah.
Amazing. So you're from the U.S., but you were living in Russia.
Yes. Yeah. I grew up in the U.S.
Because America wasn't weird enough.
Oh, well, yeah, America sucked. Like that, like I went while Trump was in office. Like, people ask why I went because I wanted to know where my country was run. It was crazy. Kremlin's a beautiful building. It was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. No, it was nuts. Like, I don't know, I enjoyed my time out there. But yeah, I went just to get the fuck out. I like living in places where people are like, but why though? And so, of course, pre-war Russia.
What was the vibe there? What city were you in?
I was in St. Petersburg, so it was
Okay.
the artist city, which was dope. Which also made, like, starting the comedy very easy and, like, finding an audience for it very easy.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, it's the most European artistic city in Russia. And so people go there for the culture. They want to see things. They want to go out to shows at night. They want to be experiencing different things when they're in town. Even the people that live there are very keen to, like, go out and be a part of things. And that made for a very rich, even though very tiny, but very rich scene, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Because we would do, like, a weekly open mic, and then occasionally we'd do, like, some bigger book shows, and we'd bring some acts in, and it was fun because I had to bring in, like, a buddy of mine who we used to do comedy in China, and he is actually from Iceland, but
Oh my God.
yeah, come out, do some shows.
I love this, like, globe-trotting that you've done.
Yeah, well, you know, we only got one planet, gotta see it. Like,
What part of China did you live in?
I lived in Beijing.
Is that an artist city?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of art and there's a lot of history of art. And, like, there are really nice, like, there's nice galleries, and, like, there's a whole area that is, like, known as kind of like an artist village in the city. But, like, you know, they're not, like, a big fan of the poverty that makes the best art. So, you know, like, they're like, yeah, we want the art, but we want it polished and clean the whole time. And so, yeah, that definitely makes for its own thing. But I don't know. It was fun.
So you've just lived in all three global powers?
Yeah, I wanted to see what it was like to, you know where the real power lied around the world. And it's interesting because each one is its own, like, false shell. I don't know. Like, they put out a lot more than they actually are. I don't know. Like, they want to seem bigger and badder than they are, really. And this is me and my not fucking poli-sci degree.
I love it, though. You have something so valuable, which is just you actually went out in the world and saw some stuff.
Yeah, it was fucking dope. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Somebody asked me the other day, they were like, why did you go? And I was like, I was lucky enough when I was younger to meet kids that were actually from, like, Beijing and Tokyo and Seoul. And so I went to school with these kids, and I was like, yo, all right, I'm going to go visit your country. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go hang out. And, I mean, it took me 13 years after middle school to finally get out there, but I did it. I fucking did it, and it was great. I fucking loved it. Ended up spending, like, 7 years in Asia overall. And then like did a year in the Czech Republic, which was fun. Then a year in Russia. Yeah.
And that's where you met your wife?
Yeah. We met at a comedy show I was hosting. It was a Christmas themed comedy show, and she just happened to be in the audience. She was just looking for something like English speaking going on. Well, because like she had just moved back from like she was living in America and then moved back to Russia.
What part of the U.S. did she live in?
She like was just coming back from I think North Carolina at that point. Or wait, no, Pennsylvania at that point.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I have cousins in Pennsylvania, so growing up, that's where we went. So we always like. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
It is a beautiful place, like, especially like the mountains of Pennsylvania are gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. Do you want to be caught out there at night? No. Like it's very similar to West Virginia. You don't know what lives in those woods. Like,
yeah. I never know how to explain to people. Like my cousins are from a sizable city. They're in Pittsburgh, but they're kind of a little like their accent's a little more hillish in some of their vibe. And I'm like, and then when they have friends, like it's fun.
I mean, well, Pittsburgh especially is a very blue collar city. Like they're rather like they're a step above a redneck city. Like that's really what they are.
Yeah.
And look, I love them. I've been to Pittsburgh, love the city, had a great time.
Yeah.
But like, I remember getting there and the weather didn't help because it was definitely like dark and gray the whole time. But I'm like looking around and I'm like, this is a pretty gray city. Like it's kind of bleak looking. Like it's cool when you come across the like you're coming down like one of the like hillsides looking across the river at the city. That's like really pretty, but like as soon as you're in it, you're just like, it feels cold. It's summertime, but there's something about this feels cold.
Yeah, and there's like a spookiness to their
Yeah.
But I think there's some very cool people from Pennsylvania, but it's maybe not when you're a foreigner and you're dreaming about America. You're maybe
not where you want to go.
You're kind of maybe thinking more California or
New York. Which like I totally get it. Like everybody thinks New York is like the place to be. And I grew up near New York. It's alright. Like it's a nice city. It's a good city. I've been to big cities around the world. Not my favorite one.
Yeah.
Oh no. It's a little too high on itself.
Yes. I also think some of the best parts of America are like the smaller, weirder places.
Yeah. I mean, I love a small little hippie town. Oh, like a fucking Ithaca, New York.
Oh my God. We went camping in the Finger Lakes.
Right? Yeah.
Right near there. They are the luckiest people.
Dude, it's a beautiful area. And then it's just like, because I went and like canvassed in New York. I used to do like a street canvassing job where we would just go and ask people for money on the street.
Yeah.
And say that we were supporting causes. And if you gave us cash, I can't say that. All right. No, it was great. Like, so they sent us out there for a week, and I'd never been to Ithaca, and I just like we get there, and there's like Priuses everywhere, and like peace, love, and like coexist signs all over the place. I'm just like, oh, this is gonna be fun, and like chilling there. It was great. We fucking that week was insane.
Partying.
Yeah, it was nuts. We
academics are fun, right?
Oh, this wasn't even during school. This was like a summer job.
Okay.
In college though, and we were there for a week. We said we had to call in every night, and like tell them what we did for sales that day, or like how much money we brought in.
Yeah.
And for the first 3 out of 7 days, 3 out of 5 days, we just lied. Just absolutely lied.
It's going well.
Yeah, it was great. It was like, it's going great. We're having a lot of fun, making a lot of money. Like we were saying like we're bringing in great numbers. Everybody was, right? And there were like 6 of us. All we were doing was just smoking weed and going swimming. It was the middle of summer in Ithaca. Like, what else do you expect us to do? Like, and we were like, all right, last 2 days, we got to fucking buckle down. And we were the best, canvassers in the company at the time anyway. So we knew we could make up the money we were talking about. So we hit the ground first day. We're like, all right, boom. We make half of what we had already lied about.
No.
But
halfway to the truth.
Halfway to the truth. But we run out of paperwork.
Oh, snap.
So it's like, damn, we don't even have enough paperwork to have made what we said we made. So it's like we're calling them. We're like, yo, we're out of paperwork. Like, what do we do? And they're like, oh, you just gotta like go print more. And we're like, we don't have money for that. Like, we're like, you're talking about printing, a couple hundred sheets of something, and we were like, we blew all of our money. Like, because we bought food for the week, we bought booze for the week, like right off the top. So like,
we got the essentials.
And we saved enough money for gas. And we're like, we did not budget for this. So yeah, but we ended up like fucking paying for it and made the money back and then some. And yeah,
all's well that
ends well. Yeah, we were that week. Like one of my best friends and I were crowned. Like we made it to the top 10 like canvassers in the country.
Amazing.
Yeah. We're like, we're.
And does that translate easily to running the comedy club?
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of dealing with people, right? And it's a lot of understanding how to put people at ease quickly. Which is also a lot of comedy, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like understanding where somebody's at, where their stress levels are at, and like what you can do to bring that down quickly and deal with whatever the issue is, if there's an issue, or if you need to just like sell somebody and get them in, what you can do to pull the leverage to get them to come in.
Yeah.
Like I don't like barking as much anymore because I did too many years of street sales. Like I can do it if we're actually in a fully tight pinch, but like. Yeah, like dealing with people that have already come into the bar. I'm like, yeah, you're like, I got, unless they already have plans to like go somewhere. I feel like I've got like a 60% get rate. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I don't know. I don't envy people who run a comedy club. Like I feel like that would stress me to the max. Just trying to get people in the club.
Yeah, it's a lot. And one of the things, like, I don't know, humans, we get used to everything. Because, like, the first fucking year, I was fucking stressed all the time. Like, because I went from running, a weekly show and an open mic to immediately 2 weekly shows and 2 open mics. And then I got Saturdays. So it was 3 weekly shows. And then I added another show on Saturday, 4 weekly shows. And so, like, yeah, it does fucking spike the adrenaline when you're like, all right, now I have to make this work, right? I've got comics that are looking to come here and like, I want to make sure the room's full. I want to make this viable. And then a year and a half in, like, it's just like, all right, I got to make sure that like it's sustainable, and subsistable. And so I kept pushing in that way. Just trying to make sure that we had enough money to keep the thing going. Because we were, I started bringing in more outside hosts, so I had to pay hosts and stuff, and then my finances took a hit. Like, but then once I got my work visa, it was all I did, and so that was like when the pressure really cranked up the last year. Like this past year has been like, all right, all I do is comedy now. Like all I do is the lab, so I need to really make it work.
Did you get was it hard for you to get your Canadian work visa? Because you weren't married at that point, right?
Yeah, I wasn't married at that point. No, it wasn't hard to get the work visa because the visa I got was the work and travel visa, and it's just making sure you get it before they run out. There's only like so many each year.
Oh, okay. Is there any age limit on it?
Yeah, I can no longer apply for it because I'm too old now. But yeah. Like you can get it up until you're 35.
Okay, because I think there's a similar one. Canadians can go to England.
Yeah,
but
a lot of countries have them.
I'm way old for it.
Yeah, like it was some shit you had to have done. Like
it's for developing young people.
And it was great. Like it's funny because
not for a middle-aged lady who wants to change up her life.
And it's like I didn't even know about that when I was like out gallivanting. I was just like, oh, I could have done that. I could have just rocked up and been like, all right, I'm gonna be a bartender for a year.
Yeah.
But no, I went and taught English. Like it's crazy. I tell my sister that she should do it because she's in the age range. Because it's like 21 to 35. I think it is. And yeah, it's fucking great because you just be like, hey, I want to hang out and see your country and not like I don't have savings, so I need to work.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, cool. Get health insurance. I'm like, all right, cool. I can do that. But I just went and got my my OHIP the other day. Like I'm applying for permanent residency, and like that's moving along really nicely. So like I just got OHIP, so fuck yeah. Yeah, I'm not coming back downstairs. I'm not going. Fuck you. I'm not paying taxes for nothing, especially for the next 3.5 years. Y'all can ride at that. Like I'm not doing it. Like I just got healthcare. Fuck off. Like what am I gonna go back down there? Like higher risk of being shot and no healthcare? Fuck off. Like it's not worth it. It's not fucking worth it.
Okay, so what was your town like growing up? You were in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Massachusetts. I do love the two-sits. But yeah, I grew up in Mass, and like I grew up in a small town. I grew up I grew up in the kind of town where like nobody locked their doors at night until my family moved in. I think that was the town. It was a quiet, sleepy little place. They didn't know how racist they were. It was cute. Yeah, no, it was fine. Like, I mean, like, yeah, the town I grew up in, like, it was a nice, quaint little town, and like my parents had done. Well, like they both moved from much bigger places, more diverse places.
Where did they grow up?
So like my dad grew up in South Florida, around Miami. And then my mom grew up between Tampa, Florida, and Phoenix, Arizona. So 3 big, very diverse cities.
Yeah.
Right? And so they moved to Massachusetts, a small town in Massachusetts, where we get there and we are 3 of the 5 black people.
Oh my God.
Right?
And like not a lot of immigrants either.
Not a lot of immigrants at the time, especially. Like, and so it was very, very white town.
It was one culture.
Yeah. And it was kind of nuts. Like we, as like we stayed for longer and longer, you know, like more people came. Like my aunt eventually moved there, and then my uncle moved, and then my other uncle moved, and then like, you know, so like we brought in reinforcements. And then like, you know, more families of color started moving in, and like, you know, Latinos and Asians and everybody. Like, so I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. Like there's a little bit going on here. But like the town initially wasn't happy about it. Like it was the point where my parents did a lot of social activism, just because they felt it was fucking necessary.
Yeah.
Just because, like, you know, they were dealing with racism, and they were hearing stories of friends dealing with racism, but there was nothing in the community at the time to hold people accountable for their shit. And so they created an organization. They're like, all right, if you don't want to deal with this shit in like actual classy ways, we're gonna take the shit to the news. We're gonna fucking ring you out about it. And they would lead marches, protests, all sorts of stuff. And then they eventually had like a radio show talking about discrimination in the Pioneer Valley. They had a very short-lived TV show like talking about the same.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so they used to do all sorts of work around that.
That has to be like an incredible way to grow up, and then not really like surprising that you'd be really comfortable like being like running a club, traveling, like being kind of in public about things.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like I was at their protests, right? Like I was helping organize the kids, or like we would do. They created a Martin Luther King celebration to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. You know, in the States, like at the community college that they went to at the time, and it just celebrated 26 years last year.
Oh wow!
Well, this year. So yeah, so like I would like speak at that, and like so like I've been on stages since I was fucking 7. Like
yeah.
So yeah, getting to this point of like, oh yeah, like trying to make my living in entertainment make sense.
Yeah.
Like,
when was your first time just on stage doing comedy?
That was fucking, I want to say it was June 17th, 2015. So yeah, like I just celebrated 10 years this year. But yeah, it was supposed to be the 10th. But that day, like it was a weekly open mic that I was going to, and that day it was a fucking torrential downpour. So like everything was closed. Like the streets were flooding. It was crazy. I was like, darn. But like, it was a friend of mine who had been doing stand-up that encouraged me to start, and she helped me write my first set. And so like, I was trying to do it the 10th because that was like her last one in town.
Yeah. What city?
This was Beijing. Yeah,
Beijing.
this was Beijing.
Okay.
Yeah, this was like the second time I had like lived in Beijing. And it was dope. Fucking had a great first set. Like I went up and I just like, I kind of told a story.
Yeah.
Cause like I didn't understand what it was to write a joke. And my friend who was helping me didn't know how to teach it. And so she was just like, I know this is funny. And like, she tried to like impart some wisdom on me or whatever. But like, I was always naturally funny, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and like, I was like, I knew how to hold an audience, and like, so I knew the basics of just like managing a crowd from just being on stage from when I was young, like having learned all that. And so, yeah, like getting on stage for comedy for that first time, like having worked on the set and like practiced it in front of the mirror for a little while. And that first set went so well.
Nice.
Like, because like I was supposed to have like all my friends on the 10th, right? Like a bunch of people I knew, everybody was supposed to come, but nobody I knew came on the 17th. But the room was full. It was just nobody I knew.
Yeah.
And so it was like an honest reaction from the crowd, like, but it went really well. And like fucking, you know. People,
what was the crowd like? Like, were they very international? Or?
Yeah, it was a huge mix. Like,
because that's its own skill too. Like, how do you talk to a room full of people from different places?
Yeah. Yeah. Learning to travel with comedy is a thing. Just especially when you're in a place where English often isn't people's first language. We take it for granted here, especially like, and I do it a lot now because I can here, where like in comedy you speed up and you slow down for different effect in a joke. But like, that has to be much slower when you're dealing with somebody who has a little bit slower processing time. And it's not like they won't get the joke. It's just they need another second to be like, right, that's what that word meant.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's just giving them that time. And I liken it to, because like when I first got here, there were a lot of weed shows in Toronto. And I was just like, oh, okay, like I've never done a weed room. I love weed. This will be fun. And then I did a weed show and I was like, oh, all right. Performing for stone people is like performing for an international audience. You just got to give them a second.
Yeah.
Like, and like, they may not be the loudest laughers for the things that they don't fully understand, but like, if you look, they're smiling, they're enjoying, you know? And so it kind of teaches that skill set of like how to measure how fast you're going, and it might change, you know, your word choice. You may choose a less complicated word for what you're trying to get across, right?
Yeah.
And then you may choose to use a different reference point, right? You may not use the thing that only Americans would understand, right?
Yeah.
You may have to change it, right? You have to localize your joke. And like,
I guess because you were living abroad, you already kind of knew a bit.
Well, I was watching that, right? Because, like, that's what I was seeing people do. And, like, people didn't really know that they were doing it. They just knew that that's what was working, and so they were doing it. Like, nobody could really put it into words at the time.
Yeah.
Because, like, we were just a bunch of amateurs fucking around. Like, there were no pros among us.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's not like we had anybody to really learn from.
Yeah.
We were just blind leading the blind.
That's amazing.
Like, and it was fun. And it's great because, like, there's a lot of people that I started with in Beijing that are still doing comedy all over the place. Tamara Siobhan actually got her start in Beijing.
Oh, I knew that.
And she started and left. Like she left the scene right before I got in the scene.
Oh my God. And then you guys met.
We met here,
Toronto.
yeah. And
where
like,
specifically did you meet her the first time?
I first saw her at Comedy Bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we first met at Comedy Bar. And then it was funny because, like, you know, I met her. We talked about that. And then, like, I was watching the news a couple weeks later, and I was like, yo, we used to do comedy together. One of the news anchors, I'm not going to say who, but like one of the news anchors and I used to do like comedy back in fucking Beijing. And I was like, oh shit, all right, that's fucking random. Like, and so I'm like, all right, well, I guess Toronto was always kind of bound. Like it was destined. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it was nuts. Like the Beijing scene, especially at that point, it kind of had like a mini glow up, like because there was one show a week at that point with like a monthly booked show, and then somebody started a second show, so there were 2 mics a week, right? And then they started doing another like book show. And then there was a third mic. So it's like there were 3 mics in Beijing like a week. And you're just like, oh shit, you can like pop up to different places. You can depend on different audiences. Like it was cool because like it was my first time actually having a scene with like options.
Yeah.
You know, because like I was just like, oh, 1 mic, that's great. That's fucking great. I can prepare some, especially like when I was first doing comedy, you know, like everybody when they're first getting in, they're like, oh, I got to write a new 5 minutes every week.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, I got a week to write new 5 minutes. Great. You know, I got a whole week. It's fine. And I'm a procrastinator, so I would always write it that day. But like it worked. And like because I knew my cadence, especially on stage, like how I just, you know, wanted to speak to the audience, it was easy for me to write, even though I didn't know what I was doing. Like I just knew, I was like, I knew the beats I needed to hit.
Yeah.
In a way. And I was like, and that should work. And then occasionally it would be like, all right, well, that should work. Why didn't it work? Oh, wording, like the word order is what was wrong, right? I put the surprising part too early. So let me put it at the end, right? You learn how to like, I'm slowly starting to figure things out. And then honestly, when I got here, like a buddy of mine introduced me to like Jerry Corley's book, and like a lot of his stuff online. And that was when I was like able to study comedy at a whole other level, which was dope. Cause like then I was actually able to break down a joke and be like, oh, here's the fucking formula. Jerry Corley.
I don't think I know him.
Oh, you should. He's got a lot of great like YouTube content. And the best thing he's done is like, I bought his book. He has a book called Breaking Down Comedy's DNA. And it literally breaks down joke writing like nothing I've ever seen. And from that, I was able to like distill, you know, what I teach. But like he breaks down like joke writing, joke structures, laugh triggers. And like the way he puts it, like there's like 9 laugh triggers, 13 joke structures. There's 6 joke elements. And yeah.
So I know you guys teach at the lab.
Yeah.
Do you find your class comparatively is very technical?
Yeah, my class is, that's what I bill it as. It's a very technical class. I know some classes are more like stage presence or like kind of more like, all right, yeah, bring some jokes.
Comedian talking about his life.
Yeah, that too. Or like, you know, because like I know some are also like, you know, you bring your jokes. It's more of like a joke writing workshop than like an actual class. Whereas like mine is like you show up and day one I hand you 3 sheets that are like, this is the base formula of a joke. This is the advanced formula of a joke. Because like a base formula of a joke, right, is a setup punchline, right? But then you got your setup, misdirect, punchline. You got your setup, misdirect, punchline, tag, topper, act out. Right. And so like you can add all these things to expand a joke to a bit. Right. And yeah, like seeing it that way, it kind of opened my eyes to like, oh, wow, this is like how comedians, whether they knew it or not, and most comedians who are pros don't even really know the technical stuff that Jerry talks about. They just know it by they've been doing it forever and this is what works. Right?
Yeah.
This is how I write for my cadence. This is how I should construct a punchline, that basic stuff. But like, they don't necessarily know, you know, why the word order matters or like how the difference between a tag or a topper, like not that like that really fucking matters. But when you know which one you're working with, you can hone it a bit better to make it hit harder. You know?
Yeah. I think when you start out, like the best thing to me is more technical instruction. Yeah. And then farther along, you might want to have experiences that are more about like finding your voice or like combating writer's block, just groups where you interact with other comedians and encourage each other. But I love technical. Like it is writing. It is
writing. And like that was the thing. Like, and I approached it that way, and I liked the approach of it that way because like I had just come from teaching English, you know, so I was like I had just come from like breaking down writing. Yeah. You know? And so I was like, yeah, this is perfect. And it was like the way I teach it is the way I wish somebody had taught me. when I was first starting.
Yeah.
And like it gives you a framework of like how to look at your jokes and how to look at like working on them and working on your bits and like where you can learn, you know, and like because a lot of the times, especially with new comics, right, we'll write jokes where we're like, I think that's funny. There's something there, right? But you don't know what it is, right? You don't even really know what your joke is fully about at that point because you're just grasping at something here is funny. Whereas like if you know what your target is and what your goal for the joke is, you know how to set it up to go that direction, right? And like you can decide whether you're going to do a simple reverse or if you're going to do a triple, right? Or if you're going to do like if you're going to even do like a like wordplay, do some double entendre, whatever it is, like you choose how you're going to get at it, and then coming at it with more intention makes your joke come out better in the long run. Like I initially I got to a point where I was like very comfortable like writing on stage, basically just riffing shit and been like throwing shit at a wall and like figuring out what works. And like I still do that to an extent these days, but I come at it from like I wrote this first and then like I'll see what else comes after that.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like with stories, I like to riff them on stage because I find things I didn't know were there. Yeah. But with more like opinion stuff, I want to be more targeted and working on it on my own.
Yeah, no, and it's good to I feel you with the stories because especially if it's a story you know is funny and you're like, I need to find the funny elements, putting yourself in that pressure situation of all right, now I'm telling the story and people are expecting me to be funny. Like your brain works double time to be like, all right, what's funny about it? How do I present it right? Yeah. And it's a good way to kind of get that out, especially the first time. Because like I've done that and I do that with even with my opinion bits now. Sometimes it's like I'll start with that first bit. I know what I want, and then I'll go and like keep going and just like keep ranting or riffing on it and see where else I kind of wind up, and then like take that now and be like, all right, now I've gotten like this and this. All right, this worked, this didn't. Let's hone in on this that worked. Why didn't this work? Do we want it to work? Does it need to? Like, does it need to for like where we're trying to get for the bit? Like, and having a way of, or like having it like in that view of like, all right, I can deconstruct it now. Which like you record your stuff. And so like being able to listen back to it and then kind of like I transcribe it, or you have like an app that transcribes it for you, like allows you to look at the way you said it, and like even kind of looking at that allows you to learn your cadence better and like learn how to write for your voice, because like that's your voice. It's like it's naturally how you said it. So it's like now you just write for those beats, right? And like, you know, when you said it and that got a good pop, all right, let's see if we can keep that cadence but make the words more purposeful, you know? And so like each time you come back at it, you hone it, and eventually it's a fucking killer bit.
I think, I've never thought about it that way, like talking about the cadence and how you have like your own way of saying things. But it is really important.
It is. And it's your own way of saying things. And it's also making sure that way of saying things gives time for the audience to kind of create images in their mind.
Yeah.
Right? Because like even comedians who are like, I call them like machine gun comedians, where they just speak very quickly, high energy, speak very quickly. They especially have to learn to pause. Yeah. To give the audience time to catch up with everything they just heard and laugh. Right?
I feel like the way I write, like I overthink, so I have to go slow. Mm-hmm. So people know what I'm saying. Yeah. And it's hard. Like even especially when you're brand new and you're just racing through your shit. Yeah. But even now when I have more comfort, I still have to be always slowing it down and remembering like people are hearing this for the first time. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they haven't thought about it as much as you've thought about it, right?
It's so obvious.
Yeah. But that is very much the thing. Like, you do have to give it a second. And that's one thing I'm always working on. I mean, you'll see, especially when I get on stage, like at mics these days, where like, I'll get up and I'll be like, yo, and then I just kind of pause and like look out at the audience. And I counted it because I was listening to it. I did it last night at the mic, and I was counting as I was walking home listening to it, and I was counting on my hand. I was like 1, 2, 3, 4. I got to 8 seconds before I said something else again.
Because there is this kind of vibe of like, is this guy too high?
Right? And it's like, but it's what I'm trying to cultivate, right? And especially because like I knew that like I wanted to get into that like dark kind of obscure joke at the end of that set anyway. So I needed them to be like, all right, he is just kind of silly and he is pretty high. Yeah. Right. And like that's what I needed them to have in their mind of me before I took them to this like kind of really dark place. Like even though
and people talk about that like the deeper the roots, the higher like you can't, if you're really dark, you have to somehow like help the audience accept that.
You do. And you also, I mean, before even helping the audience accept that, you have to establish with the audience, I'm likable.
Yes.
Like, if you don't establish with the audience, I'm likable, they're like, why are you just saying these things? Oh my God, I came to laugh. And so you do need to make sure that like you give them a bit of your persona, give them your personality, show them that you're silly and I'm also dark. So, right?
You know what's weird is like they kind of say like you shouldn't come out just like what you're saying. It's kind of, you shouldn't come out and immediately start insulting people because you have to sort of, but I have one bit I do and I just come out and I start shitting on men and people accept it right away.
Well, see, that's different, right? Like you can't.
I don't have to be like, I don't have to make fun of myself first and then make fun of the men.
I mean, yeah. even men understand what we've done. Like we get it. Like, yeah, it's fair gripe. It's a fair gripe right off the bat. Like no context needed. Well, general context accepted. Like I don't know. Like yeah, that's fucked. Like, but no, it is there, and there are certain things where you don't necessarily need a lead in, but that does depend on everybody in the audience being at the same place as you, right? Yeah. And so it's like, yes, the frustrations of women in modern North American society are known. So just starting off with fuck men, half the audience is like, yeah, fuck them. And the other half is like, yeah, not me, but like the rest of them definitely. Like, so yeah, like it's understood. But you know, going straight into like a 9/11 joke, not necessarily the way to go. You know, like it's like, hey, all right, my name's Danton Lamar, 9/11.
I think when Mickey Dykman was on, we talked about how, because Mickey hosts At Your Place a lot, and how you guys have to sort of deal with a lot of newer comics who make kind of rookie mistakes, which is like just say the most horrific thing, and kind of like not wanting to shame people, but wanting to be like, that's not 100% what comedy's about.
Yeah. Well, and like I was writing about this the other day about how there's a difference because like comedy does rely on surprise, right? And when you look at some of the bigger name comedians, they are talking about a lot of like the bigger societal issues, right? And like their surprise can have an element of shock, right? But it's well-crafted surprise. Whereas new comedians, they're coming in and just shocking people. Like they're just saying like absolutely insane shit. And people are like, ah! Yeah. Like, and because they don't understand what tact is, right? Like they haven't actually set up anything in an artful way. Yeah. They've just created, like, they've just like, yep, this is the situation. This is the fucked up thing. And it's like, no, that's not this craft, bro. Like, that's not how this works. Yeah. Like, you actually need to take the audience on a journey and they need to see the similarities of whatever it is, like the parallels you're trying to draw before you can just hit them with something insane. Yeah. You know?
I was thinking today about this joke that Louis C.K. does where people are mad at their phone and then he goes like, but you know, it's going to space. And it's this joke that's kind of like, it's like a gratitude joke, right? Mm-hmm. But I was thinking it is, like, I think sometimes if you think, like, we're trying to do societal commentary, but it doesn't have to be, like, about like a regime change in the government or buy into my new economic system. Like sometimes it can just be really something like, hey, maybe we're being a bit silly about some shit.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, and it's being able to find the silly in things, right? Because like even when we're talking about the darker things, it's like, all right, what's the silly part of it, right? What about this is absolutely absurd, right? Like what about this makes no sense in any light, you know? And like that's what we point at, right? As comedians, we're not like murder, right? Rape, murder, right? That doesn't go well with an audience. Like you have to actually show that you took some time to think about what you're saying, and beyond the fact of like, I just think this is funny and I think this phrasing is fine, because you have to think about it from the lens of your audience, and you're not there to hurt or upset or offend your audience, right?
Yeah.
They came to you to laugh.
Yeah.
It is your job to make them laugh. When you hit them with just shock and not something to like follow it up with, because like I'm not saying great comedians don't shock their audiences ever.
Yeah.
They do, but they also know how to follow it up. Because it's like, if you're going to deal with the breadth of emotion while on stage, you need to be able to handle it. Right? You need to be able to shock somebody and then show them why that was okay. Right? You need to be able to make somebody sad and then bring them back to a happy point.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't just be like, all right, I made everybody sad. Here you go, host.
Fuck you.
Right? Because like, unless you were having a mental breakdown, I don't want to book you again. Like, the fuck? And so, yeah, like it's a crazy thing.
Can I ask you your impression, like, of the Toronto scene, both sort of like what you thought of when you got here, and then like how you've seen it sort of like change over time?
I'm very proud of the Toronto scene. It's when I wasn't sure what to expect when I got here. I knew Toronto had a thriving scene. I did not know the quality of talent that was here before I got here. I did not know the level of opportunity that is here, and I did not know how big and like the depth of quality within the scene.
Yeah.
Before I got here, Toronto's by far the biggest scene I've ever been a part of, and like I'm happy that we've carved our space into it. It's when I first got here, because like I told you, like I started, in Asia, and then I was doing comedy in Europe, right? So I was in the Czech Republic doing shows, and from there I was able to bounce around to like Berlin and do things all over different parts of Europe. Then I was in St. Petersburg, and like all of those scenes are quite diverse. They're small, but they're diverse.
Yeah.
Right? And so like the shows would reflect that, and then I get to Toronto, a huge city as far as like comedy goes, a huge scene, tons of diversity. But I felt like a lot of the shows I was seeing, a lot of like the booked shows were, it's like, all right, it's 5 straight white dudes and one something else. Right? Yes. One woman, one minority, one queer, like whatever it was, right? And it's like, that's not a lot of spots to fight for, right? Yeah. And like there were shows, and like I'm not trying to say like there's nothing. Like fucking Nubian Comedy Review has been running for over 30 years.
Yes. Like
that is huge. That is a massive thing in the scene. And honestly, that was my inspiration to be like, well, I can do it too. So like There was a lot already happening, but it felt like it was very centralized. Like there was Nubian, there was Things Black Girls Say, and there were like a couple other shows that were like, these are minority shows, right? Which like is great because like, yeah, you want to serve those communities. But I was like, as far as general shows go, like audiences that come to shows aren't all white, right? They're coming to a Toronto comedy show. They're not expecting to see all white people.
Yeah.
Right. And so When, like, so when, like, I started producing shows, like, people would appreciate that. They'd be like, oh, like, it's the first time I'm seeing a lineup with, like, not 4 fucking white dudes. Like, that's great. And so I was like, fuck, all right, well, then, yeah, we're gonna lean into that with everything that we do. And so, like, when we started the lab, it was a hard and fast rule for any of our outside producers and any of our internal shows. It was like, all right, like, it's at least, like, 40% female and at least... well, the rule at the start was no more than 1 straight white guy. We loosened up and said 2. But yeah, like it was very, but like those were the rules. And like people were like, cause when people would ask to produce shows with us, it was like, all right, if you're going to do a show in our venue, this is what it has to meet. And then they would send us a lineup and be like, not enough women. And then they'd send us a lineup and be like, all right, too many white guys. be like, oh, well, one of them's not straight. All right, you're fine. Like, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like we had to. I don't know. I felt like it had to be done. Like a place like that needed to be created where minorities felt like a priority.
Yeah.
And then after that, we start seeing more shows run by like minority producers doing more lineups with more people of color on the lineup, right? And then more established clubs were starting to put more people of color and women on their lineup. And like we've seen this change where like now most lineups look like our lineups.
Yeah.
Like, and so I'm like, good. Like, that's good. I feel like that's what we wanted to see.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to see that shift of like more just representation of what the scene actually is.
Yeah.
Like, and not to say there aren't a ton of white dudes in it. There are, but like they're not all that's around.
Yeah. And there's something that's hard to explain about the lab, but it's sometimes spaces that are very comfortable for women and queer people might not feel super comfortable for people of color, and then a space that's really comfortable for people of color might not feel super comfortable for women and queer people. And the lab like is like the first place I ever saw that just was like
everybody coexisted.
Yeah. It's like it's what other places want to be, but for some reason it's hard to get there.
Well, and I mean, I feel like we come at it from a very authentic point. I mean, like I run the place, like, and I mean, like now it's just like it's like 'cause it's me, Cliff, and Miggy that run everything. So it's like it's run by blacks and queers. Everybody's welcome. Like I don't know, but it is definitely it's and we've felt it, the three of us, because we've gone and done shows other places, and like it is very much a vibe, and we were wondering. Like, is the vibe only in this space? Like, can we not bring it other places? But we've done other things other places, and it's felt right. Like we did Stage West. It was like basically our pop-up tester, right? Like we were trying to open a second space, but like the vibe felt very much the same.
Yeah.
Right? So we're like, all right, so we can bring the vibe other places. Like it is movable, which is good.
Yeah. And there's so many people who kind of incubate in the lab and then go other places to perform, to produce.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we I mean, yeah, we are that little incubator for a lot of people. I mean, we're a lot of people's first sets. We're a lot of people's first like open mic community, you know? And I built it for that. I wanted to be where like a great, nice, welcoming entry point into the scene. Because that was one of the things, like all the places that I had been before Toronto felt rather welcoming. The Toronto, like the comedy scene everywhere else. And like, it was also because like there wasn't everywhere else I was doing comedy, with the exception of like Europe, people were just doing comedy for the lulz. Nobody was really trying to make a career of it. Right.
You probably don't go to Beijing when you want to like be a comedian.
Yeah, when you want to blow up in English speaking comedy. Like, that's not what you do. But like, and so it was a very just welcoming, everybody is here to have a good time kind of thing about the scene. Whereas I got here and it's like cliquey, which is fine. It's a big enough scene to do that. But like, it was also crabs in a buckety, where like people were trying to stop other people from getting opportunity and not working together and fucking only booking their friends and not trying to make it a whole community feel, more so just a like boys club or like this is my club, like my friends kind of thing, where it's like we try to work with everybody. Like we have complicated system, as some people have called it. But I think our signups are rather easy. It's just
I think it was Kalusi who said something like, even the letter Kenny White's like the laugh.
right? Yeah. Because it's like, I don't know. It's especially for comics coming through, we have the most honest audience, right? Because like we're advertising to, I mean, it's everybody, but we get a very young and culturally diverse audience, right? And often we get a lot of women, and so I'm like, that's something that apparently, like, well, people enjoy about coming to the lab and actually getting, you know, real honest feedback on their jokes, especially at mics.
Yeah.
But like also at our book shows, people are seeing different audiences than they do other places.
Yeah, because you don't want to put out an album that's only going to work with like,
bro
niche.
dudes,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, so you want to make sure that like, yeah, your stuff actually works across a broader spectrum, and like especially because a lot of people like to come through the lab because we'll see a lot of touring comics right before they hit the road. It's like they want to come through a couple times a week because they're, you know, they're preparing with audiences that are like everything. You know, there's a little bit of everything. Even if it's an all Toronto audience, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Right. And so you get a good feel of like how your jokes work with a lot of different people at once. And that's invaluable, you know? And so we're happy to provide it. And like, it's been especially with the mics, like we set out from day one to run the best open mics in the city. We wanted to have the most welcoming open mics in the city. And I think we still stand by both of those things.
Yeah, it's a good hang too. Like
right?
it's a good, you get your set in and like catch up with everybody.
Yeah, well, because that's the thing. It's like I wanted to build community, and because that's what I had in all the other scenes it was a sense of community. Everybody, like, you know, there was a couple of mics a week, or like if it was one mic a week, it's like everybody comes to see each other. Then, you know, like catch up. What's been up? Oh, I liked your new joke. You know, I like the thing, whatever it may be. But it's like it's about, I don't know, coming together. And yeah, we're all trying to make it in whatever make it is for us, but it's always better to make it with your friends.
For sure. Can I ask you about douche rehab?
Yeah. What do you want to know?
So what is it?
It's a pipe dream that's slowly coming to reality, honestly.
For context, I had Bones Polly on, and they talked about it.
Oh, dope. All right.
And then I can't remember. I think Mickey and I talked about it too because we were talking about writing.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, they're my co-writer on it. And yeah, so Douche Rehab, it is a sitcom. It's a series that will follow 4 Toronto douchebags that are forced into an AA-style program that is meant to make them better people. And we watch them fight tooth and nail not to change. And yeah, so like we've currently got it cast as starring Cliff Knight, Ava Val, Foad HP, and Bones Polly. And then I'll be the one leading that AA style group.
You're like the therapist?
I'm the therapist guy.
That is such good casting.
And so I was like, yeah, fuck it, right? And it's a wacky show with a bit of heart. And so like we watch them they all are forced into this program for different reasons, and like they all want to get out of it in different ways, but they all come together to try to take me down in a way. And it's fun watching them do it and get to know themselves and each other while doing it. We've been, like, Megan and I have been working tirelessly on rewriting the pilot. We're actually meeting up tomorrow to do final touches before we get back to working on our pitch deck, which, like, Lem will be starting to pitch it next month. And then we've got a couple scenes that we want to shoot just to kind of get some hype back up for the show that we want to do in September. And yeah.
What is the process of pitching a show? Like, how much do you need to have written?
Less than I initially thought. This is my first time pitching one. So, like, I was like, all right, I got to come with the whole fucking series ready to go. Which I have the whole thing fucking arced out. Like, we've written over half of it already. We know where everything ends. But like in talking to people and learning more and more about how to properly pitch it, people were like, yeah, no, you just need your fucking pilot to be top notch. Like, that shit needs to be absolute gold. And my goal initially was to raise some money, shoot the pilot, and then pitch with the like fully shot pilot. And last year we were able to raise about like 80 grand, which was really cool. But a lot of that was gifts in kind. And so what that means is like we have a company that's online for like 50 grand worth of editing. And so like we just have to bring them something and they'll do the editing. Like they'll edit all of it at this point for free. Like, but they're giving us like 50,000 in editing. So it's not like we have cash capital be like, all right, well now we've got 50 grand to shoot a show with. Like, but that counted in the whole thing. Towards our goal because like it's money we don't have to spend. So it's like it's already spent on that. Which helped us not fail the fucking campaign. So thank you so much, Rolling Pictures. But like there were a couple other things like that weren't actual cash. And so what we did is like we looked at the cash we actually had on hand afterwards and we're like, all right, it's better served to take that, get because like also the feedback that we got because we were shopping around to like people we could get. So like, we were able to get in touch with some people like who like are in Canadian television and have done some projects, and like we got to talk to some of the people who did like sort of. I don't know if you know it. It was a Toronto-based show, fucking awesome show, very similar vibes to what we're trying to do. Okay. And so like we got to talk to some of them, and their advice was get a story editor. Get a story editor, go through your pilot, go through the whole arc, and then come back.
So like the story editor tells you like where you need to improve. Yeah.
And so like we took that money, we hired a story editor, we spent 7 months fucking tearing everything apart, rebuilding the whole arc, then from there rebuilding the whole pilot. And so now we're at a point where like we've finished rewriting the pilot. Because like we took it down to nothing and then fucking started with an outline and then bullets and then fucking went like actually filled in the whole thing. And yeah, it's like it's still the same heart of the show that we had started with, but it's so much tighter, it's so much better, and like it does have a level of professionalism that it just didn't have before because neither Mickey or I had been there.
Yeah.
You know, and so like we brought on the story editor who was actually signed on as a co-creator of the project. They believe in it that much. And so, yeah, it's like his information and input was invaluable. And it's been great because like Mickey and I have both already started writing other things. Yeah. Like, but we've been able to take what he's taught us for that and like put it into our other stuff. You know? And so it's like, you know, it's learning and using what you're learning immediately to make sure that like you don't lose it kind of thing. But yeah, so pitching, you really need, because like there's a couple different ways you can pitch. You can pitch to networks and you can pitch to production companies. And we're just going to pitch to networks. Like if you're pitching to production companies, that's where like you're like, all right, I think we can make this. And I think a network will buy it. Do you want to help us make the pilot so we can pitch it to a network? Because that's like what they would do. But we're just going straight to network and being like, hey, we think you'll make this. Like, we think you should make this. It'll be great for advertised revenue. Like, people will want to watch it. Like, this is why, right? And we've gotten the pilot to a point where it's like, yeah, you read it, you can see it, like, and it's fucking funny.
I love that.
Like, I'm excited to put it out there. I'm excited to like, I think pitching with what we've got now, and in like the people that we've got signed on, because like we've got some of the people who have committed, like from sort of have committed to be part of the project. Yeah. So it's like, you know, in this industry, having people signed on is always a great thing. Yeah. And so it's like we got some names that are definitely bigger than ours that are like, yeah, we're down to be a part of the project. We believe in this. And so having that cosign is huge. And I think that'll help things go a lot better this fall.
Yeah. For me, just like your cast is so many people, like where I love their persona and their comedy, and just being a big fan of TV and thinking, you know, how I just feel like who plays the characters has so much to do with how
really
funny
does.
it can be.
Yes.
And like, because they bring the charisma to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, because you have to believe that person would be that person, right?
Yeah.
And it's great because like, especially with them, I cast them as I was writing. Like,
Yeah.
because it was like, yep, I love what you're doing, love all of this, and like I used their stage persona as inspiration for like bits of the character, because like I knew like the characters' arcs, and like I knew who the characters were, and like it just so happened that they fit very similarly to these comics. And then once I got these comics to be like, yeah, that sounds fun, I'm like, all right, sweet, now I'm writing it specifically for you.
Yeah, and I think that's the magic with TV shows. It's usually like as they go on, the writers start to write for the actors, and I think you're starting with that point. So
well, yeah, because now you not only know who the character is, you know who's playing the character.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're able to play to both of their strengths. And so, like, that's what I wanted to be able to do right off the bat. And I mean, like, this is my first time, but I just figured I'd try to give myself as much of an advantage as possible.
Yes. And there's something to, like, when you're part of a scene, you have to, well, you don't have to, but you should take advantage of, like, that gift, right? You have all these talented people around you.
Well, and that's one of the things, like, Mickey and I talked about when I brought them onto the project. Because, like, I started writing it alone, and then, like, I brought them on. And we were talking about how New York and LA have these rich comedy scenes, right? They have a lot of production, like television and film production that happens there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of opportunity for comedians to get into things. And like, there's a lot of stuff that like starts out where it's like, you know, it's these three comics that like acting in a thing, right? They create their own little show. Or like they, you know, you just get cast in more stuff. And you don't really get that as much here. You get a lot of background roles in Toronto. Like, it was funny after moving here. Everything I watch now, I'm like, I know that guy. I haven't seen her in a while. Like, you know, because it's just like, oh, all right, yeah, you get the background roles for American shit because it's all shot here.
Yeah.
Right? But like, they're not looking for Canadian talent to be main roles. And so that's what we're trying to change, like, is show them, like, basically, we're trying to make it so you don't have to leave to actually make it in comedy, right? And, like, make it in comedic entertainment, which is so much the case. Like, you know, at a certain point in the Canadian scene that you have to leave. Or you have to accept that you're never going to make it, right? You can survive off of comedy, you can live off of comedy, but you can't make it in Canada. Just because Canada doesn't have the same star system as the US, as the UK, even Australia to an extent. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, it comes by creating and keeping these opportunities here.
Yeah.
You know? And like, it's about making Canadian television and Canadian productions something to be appreciated on a global stage. Because it's like we've seen with shows like Letterkenny, with shows like Schitt's Creek.
Yes. Oh my God.
And even Trailer Park Boys, right? Yes. These huge international success stories. But like, there's still so much Canadian television that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
But like, all of American television is made here, but they just get more money pumped behind it so more of the world knows about it, you know? Whereas, like, fucking Toronto is, like, it's New York North as far as production is.
Yeah.
Fucking Vancouver is Hollywood North. Like, it's the same shit. And so it's like, if things are already being made there, if production capabilities are already here, why aren't we holding up more Canadian artists?
Exactly.
Right? And like, it's not like the funds aren't there to make the projects, but the mechanism in kind of the way that things are promoted isn't there in the same way that it is for the US and for the UK, where culture has been a commodity for so long.
Yeah.
And so they know how to push culture in a way. They know how to sell culture, right? Whereas Canada's like, we're chilling, eh? Like, whereas like, nah, you need to be fucking pushing that shit. Because like, if like Canadian culture, like, if American culture deserves note, so does Canadian culture. Yeah. Right? It's the same shit, different hat. So like, like why act like it's not?
Yeah.
You know, why act like it's not worth the same amount of attention? Because you have the same quality of writers and you have the same quality of actors, talent for production, all of that. So why continue to be the playground for somewhere else, or the production house for somewhere else?
Yeah, we have our own shit.
Yeah, and like I think that's honestly something that like I do see a lot more like production companies talking about in Canada. Is trying to create more of an international presence for Canada, like beyond stuff like TIFF, like, which is great. I love TIFF. Don't get me wrong. I fucking love TIFF. It's great. It put like the Toronto film scene on its own kind of like little pedestal there, which is awesome. But we need more. Yeah. Like TIFF is just the beginning. I think we need way more just investment in putting out Canadian productions, and honestly making more Canadian productions. Yeah. Like, cause you know, I don't have cable, but we had it for like half a second, and like, I always felt like the lineups for shows on television here, it's like, all right, that's like 70% American, 80-90% American, depending on the channel, right? Yeah. And so, where is the Canadian production? Like, all of that shit's made here. Why aren't we paying Canadians to make shit here? Right? Exactly. Or like pay Americans to make shit specifically for Canada, right? Like, there was a show, I haven't watched it yet, but like there's a show that's apparently about like the New Afrique villages like outside of Halifax. Yeah. Like Africville. And it's an American production, and you can tell just like because of some of the ways that like the history is talked about. Like one of the first things he says in like the opening is like, you know, we're in Halifax and like it's the last stop on the Underground Railroad, which is not true. like that's just not exactly how that worked. And like, sure, some of the black people that were there were like, you know, like fucking coming from the Underground Railroad, but there were a lot of different ways that black people ended up there. And it's like it's Canadian history told through an American lens. Yeah. You know, where it's like that should have been a Canadian production. Why? Yes. Like, it got shot here. Nobody was like, all right, you know what? We want to have a little more influence on this. Like, you know, at least get your history straight. Like, something. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm very excited for Douche Rehab. But what are the things we want to plug just like more in the immediate?
Okay. Well, last year I created the Comedy Lab community online, which was like a whole community around understanding and learning comedy. And I'm bringing that back. This time it'll be done with way more purpose. Last year I just kind of like hapdashedly threw a bunch of shit together. This time I'm gonna be making like a whole bunch of videos, and like we'll have a lot more planning behind it all. Like I'll be shooting 20 videos before it gets launched, and then I've got plans for another 50 after it gets launched. It's like, so there'll be new stuff coming in. It'll basically be all the stuff I teach in my course, and then some. And like, because I teach all these like concepts in the course. Yeah. But with the videos, I'll be able to go into more depth.
I love like this kind of modular, like online learning, like crash course history.
Yeah. Like, and so we're leaning straight into that, right?
I love it.
And so like that's why like the first 20 are like that's the base of like what I'm trying to teach, and then like everything else is just adding on to it. And so yeah, we're bringing that back. Last year I fucked up and like started it as free, and I was like, that's way too much effort for no money. And so this year when it comes back, the first 100 spots are going to be $10 a month. Then after that it's going to go, because like we had about 100 people that were in it. Yeah. And so it's like the first 100, they get like the $10 a month. After that it'll be 15 for the next 100, and then it'll go up to 20, I think, something like that. But there'll be new stuff added. There will be joke writing competitions with actual prizes in the community, and like, because there will be people paying, I can actually have cash prizes. And then there will be like weekly joke writing sessions. Basically all the stuff like we used to do last time, like the joke writing sessions, the workshops, the Q&As. Those will be coming back. There'll be, it will, instead of being like a weekly Q&A, it'll be a monthly Q&A. But like the joke writing, as the community goes, because like we'll start with one a week, and then like as there's more demand, we'll create more just like punch-up sessions that people can kind of bring their material to. And it was really cool because last year when I did it, like I said, I half-assed started it, but we were able to get people joining from like Australia, England, Singapore, fucking backwoods places like Florida. It was insane. So like I look forward to bringing it back because it was really nice to kind of have that sense of community on a much larger scale. Yeah. And like it was also really good because like a lot of the Toronto comedians knew about it just because, well, I was advertising it here, and like people have been asking when I was going to bring it back, so that's when. Hopefully we'll be launching before the end of September, maybe in October. It really depends on shooting and editing, because I don't want to launch it before everything's ready to go up on it, because like that's what I did last time, was just rushing into it just because I was like, people would want it, and I was like, it's one thing I would have wanted when I was starting out, but I put no real forethought into it other than like, this is the information I wish I had, read it. Which there will still be stuff you can read, but yeah, it'll be a lot more video based, and like they'll have each one, I'm trying to have each section have a couple different worksheets to kind of like work on what we were talking about specifically there. So like if we're talking about emotion in jokes, talking about finding the emotion and then like, you know, heightening emotion in a joke, or whatever the context may have been for that one. And so yeah, it's a lot of stuff, but it'll be really worth it, and I don't know, it'll be a nice community, and yeah, it'll be a great way to learn more stuff just about stand-up and comedy writing in general. What else do I have to pitch? I feel like that's the main thing. I mean, Douche Rehab will eventually come out. Keep an eye on it.
And then we should just be following you on socials.
At Danton Lamar on Instagram, I guess, and technically Facebook. I don't really use much other social media. There will be a lot of stuff from Comedy Lab TV that'll be coming out. We're going to start doing a lot more content shows. I'll be doing roast shows starting. Those should start coming out in like October, November. A show called I'd Roast That. And then we're going to do a Try Not to Laugh show, tentatively titled Try Not to Squirt. It's tentative just because I don't know if YouTube will let us use it.
I feel like that could get under the censor.
It's right on the edge. It's right on the edge. Because I was searching somewhere and like I was like, try not to squirt. They were like, you get nothing because one of the words was illegal. And I'm like,
okay.
Fine. All right, fine. So that's why it's tentatively titled. And then we're gonna start doing Comedy Lab reads Reddit stories coming out soon. But yeah, look for all of that in like late October, November. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being on, Danton.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Cheers.